Good evening. Welcome and thank you for joining us for another virtual town hall. Today is Wednesday, April 15th. As of today, our cases have continued to increase. We now have 7,791 cases with 32 cases here in the county. And I want to remind you that uh, the work of doing basic protective measures, it's working. So let's keep at it. What we do now matters more than ever. So please continue doing what you're doing. I've got a few updates related to some of the challenges folks are experiencing in our community. One of them is with unemployment claims. So I have some information to share. The Department of Ohio, the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services is instructing employers and employees affected by layoffs or shutdowns as a result of coronavirus to use the mass layoff number, which is 2000180. By using this number in your application, it will speed up, expedite the processing of your unemployment benefits. So please use that number. There's an online method of submitting your claims, and that's going to the website unemployment.ohio.gov. This website's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We know that with the large usage of the website, a lot of users are trying to log on. There's a delay in processing the applications and burdening of the system. The system is quite old. It's from 2004, but it's also having traffic that it hasn't had before. So please be patient and keep trying until you get your application processed. Director Kimberly Hall had shared the following, that by using this measure, they will expedite the processing of benefits for individuals who lose their job as a result of the pandemic and allow them to receive their first benefit payment as quickly as possible. So please go online and keep trying and use that number. Now we'll talk about evictions. We've heard from several residents that tenants here in our community are being evicted from their homes. We want to remind our residents and landlords that the only way to evict a tenant in Ohio is through the court system. It is illegal for a landlord to do any of the followings to remove a tenant from their property: physically forcing the tenant out of the property, threatening to hurt the tenant if the tenant doesn't leave, removing the tenant's things without permission, turning off utilities such as gas, electricity, or water at the property, changing the locks, altering the property to make it unlivable. If the landlord engages in any of these activities above, the court may award the tenant damages and attorney fees. So please know that you have rights. If you would like any assistance or need assistance with any matters you're facing, you can call 1-888-534-1432, or you may apply for assistance online at www.legalaidline.org. And final reminder for me tonight is changes to our virtual town hall schedule. As you know, we're hosting these virtual town halls 3 nights a week, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays at 7 p.m. Starting next week after Wednesday, we will shift to a 2 nights per week. So we'll be doing these virtual town halls on Monday and Wednesday. Now the schedule for the next couple of weeks will coincide with the council meeting. So every other Monday, we will have a council meeting and a town hall portion within the council meeting. So that'll be starting next week. You'll see that the council meeting for the 20th will start as a council meeting, and then we'll have the preparedness and emergency management updates during the announcement periods. So starting next week, we'll shift to a 2 nights a week virtual town hall. Joining me tonight is Colin Altman, Fire Chief, Police Chief Brian Carlson, Mayor Pam. So I will now pass the floor to Fire Chief Colin Altman.
Thanks, Josue. Miami Township Fire Chief Colin Altman coming to you live from the future. And we're going to talk about what our future is going to look like here in Ohio as we come through this COVID-19 pandemic. While we seem to be winning the battle against the virus here currently in Ohio because people have taken the necessary steps, We still have a way to go to win the war. Until a vaccine is developed, which could be at least a year out, we're going to have to operate under heightened awareness and precautions so that we do not have a return of these spikes of virus. So what's this going to look like? Governor DeWine and his team are working on a plan to reopen the state, as every other governor is doing as well. More than likely, we're looking at a very gradual reopening. The doctors and the governor have made it clear that they're going to go with science and not just politics, which is nice. So we could be looking at social distancing in place, perhaps until the fall. Restaurants and bars slowly reopening, but with reduced capacities. Stores continuing to open slowly, but again with reduced capacities. And most importantly, people maintaining and wearing masks in public. Dr. Acton talked today about the governors of New York and Maryland putting orders in place that people must wear masks in public. This could be foreshadowing what we have coming to us. So if you have a mask now, get used to it. And if you don't, you may want to start wearing one just to be on the safe side. We cannot allow a large-scale outbreak to return no matter what Florida Governor DeSantis does. We have to be vigilant. We have to continue being careful, 6 feet apart, washing our hands, covering our cough, wearing a mask, staying home until they tell us not to. So we don't have a big return of any kind of mass of this disease. So until then, remember to be safe, be kind, be hopeful. And as always, if you need us, give us a call at the fire department. We're here to help you. Back to you, Josue.
Thank you, Chief. And now we will hear from Police Chief Brian Carlson.
Thanks, Josue. Thanks, Chief. Good evening, everyone. No big news from the police department this evening. One reminder that the Miami Township Fire and Rescue, the new facility is continuing its construction. So there may be a few detours at last moment's notice. Rest assured, you'll basically be going around the block, and we will have proper signage when that occurs. I'd like to tell everyone briefly how inspiring it's been lately to be in the community every day, seeing everyone working so hard to make things a little easier for one another. The masked faces that I see don't seem so alarming anymore. And we stop by the high school in the mornings, and I'm just amazed at how they're organizing food for delivery. The bus drivers, it's a well-oiled machine. Folks making errands for one another. Everything that you are doing is making a difference. I notice some added appreciation for things that we take for granted. Watching the mail carriers work and continue to work, the utility crews, our grocers, all the local establishments providing carry out. Thank you, Current, Bentino's, Calypso, everyone, our banks, all the essential services in town. And thanks to all the shops continuing to provide products online for delivery. As I was out in the market today and at the gas station, I'm noticing how there seems to be an ebb and flow to the changes that are created by our distancing. And it kind of feels like there's an unspoken understanding that's begun that's changed us all, in that we've all become vulnerable now in a common way. I'll continue to ask that we all stay the course and wear our masks when in public or when someone comes into our spaces. As Chief Altman said, it is making the difference. And please call the police department anytime, day or night, for anything. 767-7206. Thanks, everyone. Back to you, Josue.
Thank you, Chief. And now we will hear from Mayor Pam. Mayor?
Thank you, Josue. I'd like to say good evening to our villagers and to our township residents. There appears to be still a bit of confusion and questions regarding the primary ballots that you may have still not sent or dropped off the Greene County Board of Elections. So let me clarify, if you have already voted, If you've already sent your primary ballot in the mail or dropped it off the Greene County Board of Elections, then you can tune me out because your duty as a citizen has been fulfilled. But I would like to give you some reminders to help with this, some confusion that we have been hearing. If you still have your primary ballot, once you complete it, you have until April 27th to get it in the mail and get it postmarked by that date. At the Yellow Springs Post Office, this means getting it to their window before it closes at 4:30 p.m. on April 27th, the day before the election. Secondly, the primary ballot envelopes have all been prepaid with the proper postage. Now, you may have read something about postage is 70 cents, but that's been thrown out the window. And when you look at your envelope to put in the mail, if there's that red smear up there, it's been through the meter where the stamp would go, it's good to go. Postage has been paid. Number 3, let us say though that it's 6 p.m. on April 28th, again, election day, and you've just finished doing the Yellow Springs wave out there at the end of your driveway and talking to your neighbor, and you realize that with horror that you forgot to put your ballot in the mail. Well, there is a giant secure drop box available 24/7 outside of the Board of Elections building on Ledbetter Road in Xenia, where you can physically drop your ballot. There used to be a requirement that your ballot had to be dropped off by a spouse or a close relative, but that was back in the day before the giant drop box was put on the premises and we were certainly under this special election. And yes, the drop box is secure. So you may take your primary ballot or send your primary ballot to the Board of Elections before 7:30. I had that verified today. You can take it right up to 7:30 on election day, April 28th, with anyone you trust to put it in that giant drop box. Again, it's secure, and it doesn't have to be a relative or a spouse. It can be anyone. So this information I've shared with you came directly from employees at the Board of Elections, as researched by Yellow Springs Councilwoman Lisa Krieger and myself. So postage paid, April 27th, you have until 4:30 to get it in the mail. But the postage has been prepaid, so you can stick it in, don't worry about it. If it's on election day itself and you've forgotten, it may be delivered in person by either yourself or a trusted friend or relative right up until 7:30 on election day itself, the 28th. I think that says it all. So let's get the ballots in and do your job as a citizen toward this election, as confusing as it's been. Thank you, and back to you, Josue.
Thank you so much, Mayor. And now we'll transition to the question and answer period. We have quite a few questions for tonight. Some of them are a little more complicated than others, and we'll try to get through them. As a reminder, if you are listening or watching us from home or on your TV or on your phone, I want to remind you of you can submit your questions via YouTube, you can email them, or you can call in your questions. And Sean will put up the phone number on how to call in your questions. All right, so let's get started. This is a question that carried over from last week. Question is, what are we proactively doing in the village to address and minimize the impact of racial disparities in how COVID-19 is disproportionately impacting Black and Brown people? What is Greene County doing? Is there anything we can do as a community to address this deadly impact of systemic white supremacy? So we have a response from the county, and it includes some numbers. And I'll read the statement that was provided by Greene County, and I'll open up the floor to my colleagues to weigh in on anything. Statement reads, This is an excellent question. Right now, we are in the early stages of testing people for COVID-19 in Greene County and across the state. But it does appear that even with limited testing, African Americans are more vulnerable to the coronavirus for several reasons. We know that due to social determinants of health, like access to care, structural racism, and economic opportunities, African Americans have higher rates of pre-existing conditions such as diabetes and hypertension, which make COVID-19 outcomes worse. In Ohio as a whole, we know there are high proportions of African Americans living in densely populated urban areas such as Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Columbus, and population density correlates with a more rapid spread of the coronavirus. In Greene County and Yellow Springs, the population is relatively spread out, and we do not see the same strong correlation between population density and race as we see in many large urban areas across the United States. At a county level, we are working to address racial disparities in chronic health conditions such as diabetes and hypertension, and we are prioritizing efforts that partner with communities of color to address racial disparities and chronic health conditions. We will continue to monitor COVID-19 cases in Greene County and collect demographic data for those cases to monitor racial disparities and develop effective and racially informed response strategies. As of April 14th, of the cases in Ohio, 54% of cases are for individuals who identify as white, 21% of cases identify as African American, 7% as other, and 17% as unknown. Of the cases in Greene County, 67% of cases are with individuals who identify as white, 16% for individuals who identify as African American, 0% for other, and 17% for unknown. So those are the numbers. Colin, is there anything you would like to add?
No, I think the county statement pretty well summed it up.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question. Can Greene County Public Health comment on when the peak of infection is estimated to be for Greene County? And once the peak is passed, does that mean that restrictions will begin to be eased? We also have a statement from County Health on this, and it reads, "It is too soon to say if we have reached peak number of infections in Greene County. All restrictions are statewide and must stay in place for a while longer to prevent a second larger peak on cases. Restrictions will likely be eased gradually and in a uniform way across the state." And Colin has touched based on this, and we've heard it from Governor DeWine that it seems it will be several months before we are back to any sense of normal activity. So we'll be gradually easing in on all the activities we can do across the state. Colin or Police Chief, anything you would like to add?
The only thing, Josue, is just to really emphasize again that while things might look better now, we still need to maintain what we're doing and keep masking up, keep social distancing, and doing everything we've been doing so well. It's a pain in the butt, but we're gonna have to continue it probably for at least a few more months to make sure we really get this thing stamped out.
Thank you. Okay. Next question. Can village officials in Greene County Public Health give their recommendation for participating in drive-by parades for birthdays or other celebrations? Montgomery County Health Director has said they violate the stay-home order. We have received formal guidance from the Greene County Public Health on vehicle parade guidelines. Colin, do you want to summarize them, or you want me to read the guidelines?
Yeah, I'm happy to just give a quick summary. This is one of those areas where it's going to be differing. It's going to differ sometimes from county to county based on the health commissioner's interpretation. So as the question said, Montgomery County put the kibosh on them. 9. But here in Greene County, they're saying they're okay as long as some key things and common sense are followed. Vehicles and people must be spaced at least 6 feet apart. There really should only be one person per vehicle unless they're members of the same family. Obviously, surfaces need to be kept clean and people need to maintain the basic sanitary things. And if they're outside, they should wear masks. Those are kind of like the main things. There's, I think, 15 points on that clarification from Greene County. But those are really the big things. I believe I hit the big ones, Josue. If not, jump in. But, I think it's a balance between health and public safety and still allowing people to have a little bit of fun and a little bit of normalcy. So I think our county health commissioner has kind of found that balance in this guidance.
I agree. Thank you, Colin. Police Chief, anything you want to add?
I think Colin summed it up. I think there was isn't there a part in there about transferring items from a vehicle outside the vehicle, something like that. But I think that everything just kind of is in play that we're currently doing. The distancing, masking up, making sure that what we are doing is containing our personal space as best we can.
Yes, you're correct. There is no transferring of objects, whether you're throwing those objects or passing those objects. So that is also prohibited. Likewise for visiting senior centers or visiting folks' home as part of these parades. So those are the restrictions according to the guidelines from Greene County Public Health. Thank you, Chiefs. Okay, moving on to the next question. And Police Chief, I think this one may be for you. It seems to me that I have seen more homeless people on the bike path since the lockdown has started. My heart breaks at the idea that the young couple I saw yesterday spent the night out with a freeze-it advisory. What are the local resources available for homeless people?
First, I want to mention that maybe if Florence is on, we can have her add to this. Because she can actually give details answering this question. But I will say this, we are in constant communication with all of our citizens, residents, visitors, our homeless population. So the police department and officers do everything they can 24/7 to assist folks. I do know that our shelters are in short supply right now, and that's become difficult. But if Florence is on, I'd like her to address that for a moment if she can.
She is on. Florence?
Filled to capacity.
Florence,
And
Florence, I'm sorry, you were
yeah.
muted. You were muted and the audio just came on. So you have the floor now. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. The shelter in Xenia, which is the one we use for our Greene County, it has been closed. It is not open to take new occupants. And the CAP program is full to capacity. I spoke with them today, but if there is a homeless person that is in the area, the police department can help them because there's other information and other programs that we can refer them to, but we have to speak with them to get that information that's needed. And our officers are constantly in contact with these people that appear to be homeless. Some of them are and some of them aren't. But we are making sure that no one's left outside in the cold if we can help it. We've even paid for hotel stays for people. So if we know about it, then we can help them.
Thank you so much, Florence. Okay, we have an additional question. Could Josue give the legal aid number again? The following number is for legal aid assistance. So if you're facing eviction, you can call this number for assistance. That's 888-534-1432. And the email address for legal aid assistance is www.legalaid.org. Okay, so that is it for questions. Do any of my colleagues want to say any closing words? Okay. Yes, Mayor Pam?
I think the villagers and the township folks might find it interesting to know that there have been 3 weddings that have been requested and were performed post-COVID experience. And we do those outside in the parking lot of the village building, maintaining total social distance, especially for me. 2 picnic tables distance. We have 2 picnic tables in the parking lot. I'm at one end, they're at the other. And we go through with our vows, and I'm able to take the paperwork and safely send that back to the judge. So we are able to continue doing weddings. We've got a couple more coming up. So that's ongoing service that we can provide, and it is considered an essential service by the state of Ohio. And I just want to give a shout out of praise to our citizens who, in my opinion, are doing an outstanding job of the stay-at-home order, doing as requested, sheltering, staying at home. You're out during the day, but you're safely out during the day. And I couldn't be prouder. Thank you. It's all about citizenship and coming together. So Josue, back to you.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I couldn't agree any more with you. It's about the community and seeing how all of our residents just come together and pitched in to do their part, not just maintaining their own basic protective measures, but willing to go above and beyond to help others make it through this, whether that's making face masks or helping coordinate food resources, putting in the systems in place to make sure that no resident falls through the cracks. I'm honored to be a part of this community, to serve alongside of you, and to just be a member of this community. So with that, thank you. We're closing out the town hall, and just want to say thank you. Have a wonderful night.